Well, after a year and a half, what's the most fun part of being the mayor?
Most fun part?
Yeah.
The most fun part is probably kid council with the third graders, but no, I really enjoy.
Explain what Kid Council is for people that don't know.
Yeah, Kid Council it's a really neat program. What we do is about 2 or 3 times a month, we'll bring in a different school, all of their third graders. There's usually 5 or 6 third grade classes. They come down to City Hall. They elect a city council amongst their classmates, and then they have a council meeting. We give them an agenda. We give them an agenda that basically says it's a fake agenda, but basically you have $10 million to spend either on, a lot of times it's like fire engines or something with the police or a park. The real interesting ones are where we say, okay, you can either spend it on a water park or a library. And amazingly enough, we get probably more schools that want to spend on the library than want to spend on the water park.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it's a neat process because we bring in a person from our streets department, somebody from the police department, somebody from the fire department, environmental stewardship, parks and rec, and then I come in and talk to them about city council, and it lasts about 2.5, 3 hours.
Wow.
And then they run their council meeting after I talk about the council, and I show them how to work through the process of having a meeting, and all the kids on the council get to ask a question. We use real staff people for the meeting, so they have to address the third graders like they do us. And then they have a motion and a vote, and they actually run it like a public agenda item too. So they have kids that are picked out ahead of time that come up as the public and ask questions or make comments.
That does sound fun.
So that's a lot of fun. But I like going out and talking to the kids and educating them about process and the government. I've done several programs this year. I just spoke to all of the kids at Down Middle School 3 weeks ago in their gym, about 1,200, 1,300 kids. And I went over and I spoke to all the 8th graders at Evans Middle School about community service. There's a program that the U.S. Conference of Mayors is doing. It's called JFK 50. It's the 50th anniversary of Kennedy's inaugural address, where his famous speech, "Ask not what you can do, or ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." Okay. And we're using that to get kids engaged in the process of community service, whether that be student government, neighborhood cleanups, things like that. So I did presentations to those schools. Went up and talked recently to drawing a blank. The new elementary school on Ridge. McClure. Went up and talked to their third graders recently. So that part is a lot of fun because I think it's important for kids to understand how things work in their city, and what it's like to be a mayor and what it's like to be involved, so that maybe they'll want to do that when they get older.
Don't you also do like a mock trial?
Yeah, I do that. That's through my law practice. We do, that's through the Bar Association. We do 8th grade mock trial competition, and I'm a coach at Dow. We won last year for the county. First time McKinney schools won, so I'm excited about that. And I've helped out a little bit with the high school team. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And there's other things I like about, the city council is, it's a lot of time. It's more time than you would think. It's more, when the meetings are first and third Tuesdays, and you think that's fairly manageable, but then, invariably I'll have, probably 6 or 7 other meetings during the week, plus things at night, and it is a lot more time than what you would anticipate, but it's enjoyable at times.
It's fun.
Yeah, and I think it's good to to see what comes out of that, because you do have to deal with. You deal with the good and the bad. You have people that you have to deal with complaints, and you have to deal with issues with people. They need things done, and the city moves slowly at times, and trying to make people understand what that process is. Why does it take so long to go through P&Z? Why does it take so long to get to the council? Why do we have to get a variance on something that doesn't seem like like it should be easy?
Right.
And that's the tough part. It's hard to get to explain how we have to work, the environment we have to work in. We recently had a issue come up over this emergency fee issue that came up for the last couple of weeks, and it created a lot of negative publicity, article in the morning news.
And that's where you were going to, there was a proposal to charge people that did not reside in McKinney.
Right. If
they had a car accident here and it was their
Right.
fault, they would get charged a fee.
Yeah, exactly. And the problem with that wasn't the consideration, because it was the perception. Because basically the police department did what they were supposed to do. In order for us to consider something, they have to bring it into a public meeting. They have to talk about it. We get to ask questions, and then at some point we'll vote on it. And ultimately, it would not pass. I mean, it was going to be on the last agenda. I think the newspaper, they had talked with everybody, and I think we all said we were against it. But the perception was that because it was in a public meeting and discussed, was that we had already done it.
Right.
And it's hard to, I try to explain to people all the time, look, we have a process we have to follow, in order to be transparent. We have to discuss things publicly, both good things and bad things. And cities, city staff will bring items before us that might be based on a survey that they read, based on what other cities are doing, or based on what are, quote, best practices. But that doesn't mean we're necessarily going to do it, and sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But it becomes a fire drill when you're trying to get out ahead of that type of a story. So.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us today and giving everybody an update of what's going on in the city.
This has been a production of Town Square Buzz. Tune in for Part 3 for updates with Mayor Brian Loughmiller.